In this video, we're going to look at, can we show and hide objects? What are broadcast messages? And can I change scenes in my cartoon? So here we have the Scratch user face, which we should be familiar with right now. And here we have the essential code that we're going to use in our program today. Particular ones that I want to point out, in the look section, we've used the say and think commands previously. We have used next caution when we want to animate. We're now going to think about switching backdrops and changing to next backdrop. So this switch backdrop command allows us to switch to a particular backdrop. And next backdrop allows us to cycle through backdrops in sequence. Clones we used before, and we're going to be using them again in our second scene. And broadcast messages we're going to use. These allow different objects in our programs to tell each other to do something. So the first block, when I receive message 1, tells each object that if it receives a broadcast message, that there are some commands that it needs to carry out. And broadcast message 1 allows an object to send a message out to all other objects in the program. Our challenge today is to broadcast a scene 2 message when your scene ends. To switch backdrop, hide characters we don't need, and show characters that we do when we receive that scene 2 message. And then to red chili change to animate our Pied Piper character leading our mouse away. So by this point, you should hopefully have a situation where we have our mice animated by creating clones of themselves, and we have our character moving. Once we get to the last point of our scene, so in my scene here, it's where our character says help. We want to broadcast a new message. So we go to events, we broadcast a message, and you see I've already got the message made here, but if we need to make a new message, we can click on new message here and type in whatever we need that to be and click on OK. I'd say I've got mine made already. So we're going to broadcast scene 2. So now that we've broadcast this message, we want to hide these mice and we want to switch backdrops. We also want to hide the prints here as well. So we say we tell our prints when I receive scene 2, we go to looks and we hide. We're going to go to our mice and we're going to say when I receive scene 2, we're going to hide. And what we're also going to do to stop these clones appearing is go to Control and go stop all other scripts in this sprite. So if I hit play, then we can see that our characters disappear. So the next thing we need to do is to switch scenes. So if I click on over here, my backdrops, I'm going to choose a new backdrop. And we want one that's going to be a bit outsidey, something where the mice can run off. So we've got a canyon here. This looks like it could be pretty good. So we're going to go with that. So I'm going to go to events. I'm going to say when green flag is clicked, and in looks, we're going to switch to backdrop. We're going to go for the urban one. That's the first one that we used. Then, when we receive scene 2, I can, if I want to, say switch to canyon, but I can just use next backdrop. It's just quicker and easier. So if I run that now, we can try that out. And there we go. So now what we want to do is we want to have our Pied Piper appear, and then we want him to be able to make our mice glide through and fall off into our canyon. So we're going to choose a sprite. Now, we don't actually have a Pied Piper here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose one. Let's see, he looks pretty dancy, looks pretty colourful. So I'm going to choose him. And maybe what I can do in costumes, if I want, is I can paint in choose an appropriate color. Maybe give him a flute. Maybe it might be yellow. And in each of the costumes, I can draw him carrying his flute and playing it. As I said, I'm doing this very simply, but you can put a bit more detail in that as you like. So what I'm going to do now is with my Pied Piper, I'm going to go to code. Now, when green flag is clicked, because the Pied Piper isn't in our first scene, we want him to hide. But he's going to appear when we broadcast scene 2. So we're going to go to looks, and we're going to say show. So then he's going to say something. So let's get him to say, I can help you with these mice. And then I can get him to glide. Oh, so first, apologies, need to make sure we've got him in the right position first. That doesn't look right, so let's put him in our start position. Pop him there. And get him to glide across to the edge of the canyon. And let's have a look at that. Okay, good. So now what we need to do is we need to get our mice to glide across and fall into the canyon. Now, we can't use these mice here because when we clone them, we've already got them doing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose another. So we're going to, in fact, even easier, we can duplicate this. Now, this one here, because we want to animate the costume, we can keep that. I'm going to get rid of this one. We're going to keep this one. We're going to keep this one. So this animates our mice. It gets us to create clones of the mice, and it gets us to animate the clones as well. But what we're going to say is when I receive scene 2, we're going to show. Somewhere here, we're going to say hide because we don't want this mouse to show up until scene 2. So when I receive scene 2, we're going to show. We're going to choose our start position. So there we go. So choose our start position. So we're going to start here. It's going to glide to here. Then maybe glide to here. And then he's going to disappear. And then when we start as a clone, we're going to duplicate this code and do exactly the same thing. And we're going to make sure. Now, if we watch this, okay, so we've got a couple of bugs here that we need to fix. So this one here, we're going to take that out, and we're going to go Control and say when I start the clone, we can do this. And we're also going to put our mouse where we want him to be. So I'm going to show him just for now. I'm going to switch to scene 2. I'm going to go here. Go motion. Go to, there we go. Let's fix that little bug there. So if I watch this now, so a couple of little errors that we just need to fix here now. So we don't want our mouse to move until the Pied Piper's moved. So we're going to wait. for 3 seconds before we start. And I'm going to fix this one here because I've said when I start as a clone, but we don't want that. We're going to say when I receive scene 2. And we're going to wait for 3 seconds, just like we did here, so that we don't have our clones appearing until after the Pied Piper is moved. Let's give that a try. And there we go. We have our Pied Piper leading our mice away.